I see myself as being in a unique position to be able to reach out to people who are disaffected.
And so the National Democratic Congress, we try to be upfront with you. We do not come promising you the sun, the moon and the stars.
We're able to not only develop a clear roadmap for the development of the country and for transforming the country.
I encourage you by saying this.
Our responsibility is to win the confidence, not by lies and deceit, but by honesty and sincerity.
Apart from everything else, I also have the experience. I understand the country and I understand the challenges of the country. I've managed the economy of this country for 4.5 years.
What are the party's priorities for the first 100 days in office? Over the last 3 years, the National Democratic Congress has been at work, building the party's machinery and preparing itself for governance. However, some questions still remain in the minds of Grenadians regarding the party's state of readiness. I have with me Senator the Honorable Nazim Burke, political leader of the NDC, and Mr. Joseph Andel, deputy political leader. I hope that at the end of our discussion, some of your questions would be answered. Now, what attracted you to this political organization, given that there were other choices, and what has kept you there?
Several things attracted me to the organization. First of all, my desire to serve the country. I had been involved in the revolution and I had gone away and obtained my education in different fields and really felt that continuing desire to serve Grenada. I've always been interested in public service, and so I welcomed the opportunity to do that. Secondly, I was inspired by the circumstances under which the party itself was formed. There were ministers of government in a government who gave up their seats and gave up the comfort of being ministers of government and decided to leave the party on principle and to form their own political organization, the National Democratic Congress. So these were people who were prepared to take a selfless step in the interest of what they thought was right. And I was quite inspired by the decision of George Brazan and Francis Alexis and others, Tillman Thomas, who decided to leave the party, the New National Party, under those circumstances. Thirdly, I was attracted to the philosophy of the party. It's central to core principles of good governance, respect for the institutions of the state and respect for the institutions and the laws of the country, accountability in government, transparency in government, those kinds of core principles I found very attractive. I was also attracted to the symbol of the party, the heart. Because of course the heart is the engine of the human existence, and to form a party and make its symbol the heart tells me that this party is capable of and is committed to becoming the heart of the country. So I was extremely attracted to the idea, and that was another factor. But perhaps finally what attracted me was the fact that I now had the opportunity to work with several persons who had worked with before in the service of the country. Many of us had come back to Grenada and were trying to serve Grenada, as well as an opportunity to work with several persons who had never worked with, had never met in some cases, and just an opportunity to serve with a collective of people and the interests of the nation. So I was attracted to the NDC based on those considerations.
Mr. Andel, you are the caretaker and running candidate for St. Patrick West. Now, what inspired your political interest, having been an educator for a number of years?
Well, I grew up in a time when politics was just second nature to everyone. And from primary school, I developed a very keen interest in the politics of our country and in international politics generally. In fact, I went on to do my first degree in political science. The transition from being an educator to politics was a very easy and natural one, because it has to do with caring for and about people, about putting yourself at the service of people. to move a country forward.
Now, the split within the NDC in 2013. Now, can you share with me some of the effects that split has had on you personally and professionally?
Yes, it was a very trying time, to be honest. As I said a little earlier, I was quite delighted to become a part of the National Democratic Congress and to work with persons who I had worked with before in the days of the revolution, who I had gone to school with as young people, and to also meet and work with persons who I had never met and had never worked with in the past. So to me it was a very exciting time to become a part of the organization. And of course we worked in 2003, we came close to winning the elections, we continued to work together, and in 2008 won the election. So this was now the first opportunity for us to actually try to implement our vision for the country and our plans for the country. So this was a very exciting period. And so when the party began to unravel, when the government began to unravel, it brought a deep sense of, first of all, anxiety. That was the first emotion. The fear that those who had said in the very beginning that we were going to disrupt the process, that those of us who had been in the revolution were disruptive and were going to destroy the country and the stability of the country, it was coming to bear, it was coming to fruition. So that was the first anxiety, that, you know, the bad things that people thought were now being realized. The second emotion really was one of utter disappointment. You know, that here we were, we had worked hard to win the government. Many of the persons, I believe, when they voted in 2008, believed that they had seen the back of at least the leadership of the new National Party once and for all. And here we were basically disappointing them, hurting them, and in a sense destroying their dreams and their aspirations. So I think the sense that we were falling apart brought great disappointment to me, and finally hurt. You know, I felt hurt, I felt pain that we could not keep it together and that we had let down the Grenadian people. So that was really something that was very difficult personally and professionally, even though there were opportunities to perhaps go on to do different things, because of course I think with my own education and training I could perhaps have found something more rewarding financially to do. I felt the sense of commitment to remain in Grenada and to continue in public service. Even though it was not a popular thing to do, even though it was a very difficult family choice to make at the time, I decided that I had a responsibility to stay in Grenada and to continue to serve the people.
Now, in 2013, when the infamous split occurred in the NDC, you were an outsider, right? So, what were your perceptions then of the NDC? And a follow-up question is, now that you are an insider, deputy political leader for that matter, what have you done to change the perception that the NDC is a fractured party?
Well, to deal with the first part, having studied and observed the politics of Grenada over the years, especially in the post-invasion period, I was disappointed that things ended up the way they did. But many people seem to forget that the post-invasion political history of Grenada has not been a smooth one, and that all political parties have been affected by infighting, by power struggles. Some have completely disappeared off the political map. The original NNP was an amalgamation of 3 political parties.
Oh.
Yeah. The GNP, the GDM, and the NDP. Then Naz alluded to the circumstances that led to the formation of the NDC. When Dr. Mitchell won the leadership of the original NNP, that party also split, and we had the TNP coming out of that. Dr. Mitchell himself was faced with several challenges. There was a whole question of the so-called A-team without the NNP. And I just want to jog people's memory that the very first time that Dr. Mitchell won an election as political leader of the NNP, his government collapsed due to infighting. So what happened with the NDC in its recent term in office was not unique to the NDC, and it was not a first-time occurrence in Grenadian politics. In terms of my involvement in the NDC now, I see myself as having or being presented with a good opportunity to help to heal some of the fractures that emerged during the NDC's period in government. Not being involved in the whole crisis and the breakup and so on, I think that I can see things in a more objective light probably than some of the people who were personally involved in it. Okay, I do not have the same kind of maybe emotional attachment to the process than the people who are the main protagonists than they did. All right. So I see myself as being in a unique position to be able to reach out to people who are disaffected and disappointed by the breakup or the split of the party. Of course, having said that, one cannot be naive. You still want to know that when you're going to battle, the soldier at your side will not slip a knife into your back.
Right.
Yeah, but I think that we have to be open-minded. We have to recognize that people were motivated by different things. People had access to different types of information at the time, and decisions were made based on what people thought they knew then. Since then, I've spoken with a number of people, and quite a number of them have returned on board and are making very valuable contributions to the organization.
Mr. Burke, some people know Nazim Burke, the lawyer, a former Minister of Finance, a current sitting senator, and more recently political leader of the National Democratic Congress. Now, for viewers who are wrapping their minds around the possibility of having you as their Prime Minister one day, what can you tell them about yourself to convince them that you would make a good Prime Minister?
Of Grenada.
Yes, of Grenada,
Yes?
that is.
I can't say for another country.
Of course, Grenada.
But first of all, I think the first thing I would say to them is that I love Grenada and I am deeply committed to the service of this country. I have demonstrated that now, since I was a kid, as a young student, part of the student movement, as a public servant during the course of the revolution. Having gone to Canada and worked and studied, I've come back, and in the last 15 years I've been giving continuous service to this country. So my commitment to this country and my love for this country, I think, is my first qualification. Secondly, I care about what happens to the people of this country. I care about the people, I love the people, and I believe in the people. I believe that Grenada has some of the most talented people anywhere on the planet. And I believe that we have some of the best resources anywhere on the planet. The problem that we face is one of leadership. And I believe, frankly, that I can help to make that difference. I can help to move the country beyond the stage of just having resources, to mobilize the resources and to increase the capacity and capabilities of the country for the benefit of all Grenadians. Thirdly, I believe that I understand the challenges. I understand the country and I understand the challenges of the country. I've been in Grenada from childhood. As I said, I worked abroad, but I'm back here. I have served as a Minister of Government. I've managed the economy of this country for 4.5 years. I've managed the energy portfolio of this country for 4.5 years. I've served as the Permanent Secretary of Trade. I've served as the Minister for Trade for 1 year. I have served as the Deputy Leader of our party for the last 4.5 years. I served as the Leader of Government's Business in the House, responsible for piloting all bills that the government had to table before the House of Parliament for 4.5 years. As a practical matter, I served as the Deputy Prime Minister of the country and always deputized when the Prime Minister was out of the country. And of course, more recently, I've served in the Senate. So I understand and have been part of both houses of the Parliament. And now I've served as the leader of our party for the last 2 years at least. So I believe that I've acquired the experience. I've managed the country's economy during one of the most difficult periods in the history of the country. In fact, the most difficult economic period in the history of the country. And we did so in spite of all the challenges. We were able to do so with very good reports and very good results and very good evaluations by the multilateral institutions, the World Bank, the Caribbean Development Bank, the International Monetary Fund. All of these agencies have spoken about the management capacity during my tenure in office. I believe that we were able to not only develop a clear roadmap for the development of the country and for transforming the country. We identified the 5 transformational pillars that we believe will truly transform Grenada in a sustainable way. We identified the projects that we felt were going to have that game-changing capacity within each of these 5 sectors. We began to mobilize the resources to actually implement the projects in these areas. And much of what is happening today in the country in terms of projects that the government is in fact rolling out are monies that we were able to secure from the World Bank and other financial institutions during our tenure. So I do believe that apart from everything else, I also have the experience. And I'm committed, I feel capable, and I'm ready for the job.
Over the past couple of years, the party has been undergoing training sessions in a wide variety of areas to ensure that we are prepared personally, professionally, and otherwise to execute the job of managing the affairs of our country. So I'm quite confident that once we are given the opportunity, we will be able to do an excellent job.
I am sure you've heard the saying that politics change people. Has your involvement in politics changed you? If so, how? And if not, why?
Okay, by the time you get to be involved in politics, who you are as a person has already been formed. Of course, as one goes through life and has different experiences, if one doesn't change or if certain aspects of one's behavior don't change, maybe something is wrong. So in terms of the core of who and what I am, I remain the same person. But my outlook, my perspectives on certain things have changed, have been modified over the course of my involvement in politics. Because politics is not an abstract something. You have to deal with people, interact with people. And sometimes you go in with certain preconceptions, but when you get into the reality of things, you realize that it is not exactly the way you thought it was. And so you have to make adjustments and so on. All right? So I would not say that politics has changed the character of Joseph Andal,
Right.
but it has given me new and different perspectives on many things that I used to be involved in and the way I used to think about things, certain things before.
Mr. Burke, has politics changed you as an individual?
No, politics has not changed me. Let me say, I share the sentiment that Joseph has expressed entirely, that your character is formed long before you get into politics.
Right.
And, that's why you have good politicians and bad politicians. That's why you have good nurses and bad nurses. That's why you have good lawyers and bad lawyers. So the idea that all politicians are the same and all politicians are bad, I think is a myth. And one that we must discourage among our people, because it leads to the suggestion that politics is a bad thing, and it discourages our young people from becoming attracted to politics and to public service. And we need them, because at the end of the day, I will come, I will go, I will die, others will come, they will go, and they will die. And we need young people to take up the mantle and do for Grenada what we were trying to do during our time. So I share the view that politics is good. It has not changed me in a negative way. What it has done is that it has strengthened me, it has broadened my perspectives, it has built my capacity as a person, it has strengthened my convictions, it has given me greater resolve. So there are qualities that I've developed, which politics helped me to develop, and for that I'm grateful.
What are the party's priorities for the first 100 days in office if the NDC emerge the winner?
Well, let me say first of all, I do not regard 100 days as some magical number. I don't know why you would not have said in the first 99 days.
I prefer 100. More.
So there is no magic to 100 days. And so it is important for us as a political party not to take this rigid approach to policy making that will box us in and put us in a position where we're making senseless and unrealistic promises, which has become the culture of some political parties and which we've tried diligently to stay away from. You know? So it's extremely important for us perhaps to share with you what we see as our priorities.
Exactly.
Whether it will happen in the first 100 days is difficult to say, but I can tell you with certainty, we will give top priority to providing the nation with tax relief. We believe that what is happening today in Grenada is burdensome, is onerous, and is unacceptable. In fact, it is stifling the people and suffocating the economy. The very thing that Dr. Mitchell, I think, was hoping to achieve is having the opposite effect, because he's taking away the disposable income from the people and preventing them from spending, preventing them from earning income, and preventing the economy from getting the boost that it can get from this kind of activity. So our first responsibility and our first priority is going to be to ensure that we provide some form of tax relief. Exactly what particular taxes will be adjusted and how is the subject of the review that we are now undertaking. And hopefully by the time the election comes, we can tell you before the elections exactly what we are going to do about each of the taxes. Which ones will be repealed entirely, which ones will be lowered, and so on. The second thing that is of extreme importance for us is that we must resolve as early as possible the uncertainties and doubts surrounding our national heritage. For example, it is our intention, if the issue of Camahon Park is not resolved by the time we get into office, we will resolve it to the positive benefit of the Grenadian people. If the issue of Granitang is not resolved, we will resolve it. If the issue of the Postal Corporation is not resolved, we will resolve it. If the issue of Rex Grenadian is not resolved, we will resolve it. Because we are determined to hold fast to the view that our national heritage is not for sale. You know, sometimes, somebody asked me the other day, Ashida, I wonder if somebody comes and offers to buy a cemetery in Grenada, whether our leaders would be prepared to give up the cemetery, exhume the bodies and give up the cemetery.
Oh.
And while it seems quite extreme, the sort of things that we are seeing today suggests that the government is prepared to sell anything and give away anything. And what we are saying is, the heritage of the country is not for sale. And if these issues are not resolved, by the time we get into office, we form the government, this will be a top priority.
Okay.
Well, I endorse the political leaders' views, but there are some things that we have to treat as priority. The whole question of getting youth to be an integral part of the leadership of our country is extremely important to us. And already as a party, we have begun to take steps to ensure that we don't just pay lip service to youth development, but we actually implement, we put our money where our mouth is. So for example, at every major committee and organ of the party, there is youth representation. And we know, for example, that the Senate would be one area where we'll be looking to develop youth leadership and youth integration into the whole developmental process of the country.
That's commendable.
Right. Diversification of the economy and decentralization of certain aspects of economic life in Grenada. The rural communities in Grenada have been grossly neglected by the current administration. There seems to be a crazy fixation on getting everything done in one little area, Grand Nance. And we believe in the NDC that we have to take a national approach towards development, a balanced approach, so that St. Patrick's, St. David's, St. Andrew's, St. John's, St. Mark's should get the fair share of the national developmental pie, that employment opportunities should be created in the rural areas. So that would ease up the problems and the pressures on the infrastructure of St. George's, and it would reinvigorate the rural economy, which would redound to the benefit of our entire country. Healthcare is something that also needs urgent priorities, and we are going to make sure that we focus our attention on delivering better, accessible, and affordable healthcare to the people of our country.
Just one issue that I think we should also add to that, and that is the issue of sand mining. The National Democratic Congress, while it was in office, put a ban on sand mining. The new National Party has come back in and is effectively given a free rein to people to dig up our beaches and our sands and undermine the coastal areas, which the world understands poses a very serious threat in light of climate change for the livelihoods of all kinds of populations around the world, and the threat to the nation itself and its stability as a country, and its survival as a nation. It is extremely important for us to resolve that issue of sand mining as well. We will do so definitively, and we will do so finally, because whatever this government says, whatever promises it makes, we cannot allow people to be digging up the beaches in the way that it is now happening.
Thank you for welcoming us into your home. I am Ashida Charles, and I invite you to join us again next week as we continue our discourse straight from the heart.
I see myself as being in a unique position to be able to reach out to people who are disaffected and disappointed by the breakup.
And so the National Democratic Congress, we try to be upfront with you. We do not come promising you the sun, the moon and the stars.
I encourage you by saying this.
Our responsibility is to win the confidence, not by lies and deceit, but by honesty and sincerity.
Apart from everything else, I also have the experience. I understand the country and I understand the challenges of the country. I've been in Grenada from childhood. As I said, I worked abroad, but I'm back here.
What are the party's priorities for the first 100 days in office?
The National Democratic Congress, we try to be upfront with you. We do not come promising you the sun, the moon and the stars.
I encourage you by saying this.
Our responsibility is to win the confidence, not by lies and deceit, but by honesty and sincerity.